Good afternoon, everybody. It's Mothra here, doing my third Spawn Appreciation stream. I hope you all are doing well. I don't really have a set agenda for today. I'm just going to be walking around Spawn, looking at stuff, and also, in addition to the extended render distance that I've been testing previously, I'm trying out complementary shaders along with the Vanilla XXL texture pack from Hardtopnet on Patreon. Fuck you too, I guess. And yes, Silver, it's pretty ridiculous. These are all PBR textures, so you get like bump mapping and highlights, reflections, all of that. Apparently this is the Pop Bob Sex Biome portal. This person is scared. And I apologize, in the background there are jets flying very low, so there might be some noise. Burn bitches, I think? No, B-I... I don't know what that says, but it's quite fascinating. Anyway, instead of flying around by Elytra, which is faster, but you don't really see as much, I'm going to be just walking around and then also riding a horse. So hopefully we'll get a better, more detailed view at the world. Oh, I see, King. That's what it said. Well, that's awkward. Anyway, I'm pretty close to a diagonal highway, so I'm going to just head over there and probably just travel on the highway for a while. And as you can tell, Jesus hacks are pretty glitchy at the moment. Here we go. Here we go. This is the highway. Yeah, overworld highways are still basically a joke because it's way more efficient to travel in the Nether, but it is kind of fun to see all the stuff that's been built on them and the stuff that's been destroyed, of course. Anyway, one of the things I like about this texture pack is that it preserves the sort of vanilla look with the 16 by 16 textures. It just adds a whole bunch of detail on top of that. Like that, basically. I guess this is a cross made out of observers. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, one of these highways has this ridiculous, it's a diagonal highway. It has this kind of ridiculous spammed build by Jared. I do not remember if it's this highway though, but if it is, it'll be coming up pretty quick. Kind of reminds me of the building style of Alec, who you might have seen his maps, or his maps kind of scattered around. They just sort of have the look of Microsoft Paint drawings, basically. All right, this is a lot of signs. Apparently this person wants to break all of the signs. 2022. Let's see what the oldest sign is here. Yeah, these all seem pretty recent in the last couple of years. Well, that's a pretty lava cast up there. Okay, I think I'm done with the horse. It's just not very reliable. There we go, much better. Anyway, as you can see, as I fly around, this is loading recent changes to the map. Most of this data was collected in 2021 from the 256K world download. And obviously, because this is a highway, there's going to be a lot of changes that happen. For example, this lava cast. It's kind of an odd place to put a crafting table. Yes, Chicken, I highly recommend it. It does require more than a terabyte of disk space, but it looks freaking amazing. One of the things I've actually been experimenting with, but is not quite working yet, is this mod called Distant Horizons, which is an LOD mod, stands for level of detail. So right now, all of these extended chunks are being rendered full quality, which obviously has a big performance impact, but it really isn't necessary because, like, I don't know, if you look at this lava cast over here, there's no need to render it full detail when you're zoomed out. So what the Distant Horizons mod does is basically progressively, the farther you get away from the camera, the less detail it uses, eventually down to like multiple blocks being combined into one. So in my testing, that has resulted in significantly better performance. The only problem though is that it cannot read the files that are used by Bobby as part of its cache. But I think in principle, it should be pretty easy to make that change. So hopefully at some point that will be working. And if you look in the Discord link below in the description, that'll be posted there. But there's a bunch of useful information in that Discord, so highly recommended. Yeah, right now the Distant Horizons mod, it can actually generate chunks outside of render distance based off of a seed, essentially, which would allow you in a single player world at least to see beyond what you've actually loaded. But basically, I think you could just take that system and re-implement it with a new implementation that loads it from disk as opposed to from the world generation code. Horse just disappeared. Well, that's tragic. This actually happens relatively often on Tubi. I think it's some kind of client-side glitch. So if your horse ever just randomly disappears, you should just walk away from it until it's out of render distance and come back. And there's a good chance it'll be there. Or maybe you'll discover a new dupe while you're doing it, because a lot of dupes are related to entities getting out of synchronization. So if you return and there's 2 horses, then definitely have found a dupe. Just do it with a donkey. Yeah, I love these textures. So yes, it does require a lot of disk space, chicken, but you can buy 2 terabyte hard drives for like $50. So if it's worth $50 to you, you can just get a new hard drive. And it doesn't have to be a solid state drive because it really doesn't use that much bandwidth. Yeah, and as Baba J pointed out in the Discord, you can also get probably a lot less disk usage if you use some kind of compression. So he recommended ButterFS, which is it's quite easy to use on Linux, not so much on Windows, but if you can get compression enabled on your file system, it probably will take a lot less than 1.5 terabytes. Well, it looks like somebody's been removing all of this junk from the top of this highway. That's interesting. I just wonder, like, who spends the time to do this? Like, somebody clearly spent a good amount of time just walking down this path, cleaning it up. And I may be the first person to notice in the years since they've done it. I guess they were too lazy to clean up the obsidian, but that's understandable. Hi, Decto. Yeah, these are 1K texture packs. You actually can download them in 2K, and I've tried it, but it does have a bit of a frame rate hit, and frankly, this is plenty of pixels. So yeah, the jets you hear in the background, it's the Blue Angels who are practicing right now. So actually, that will probably tell you what city I live in, but that's okay. Definitely going to be watching them this weekend when they perform. Yeah, I will say the one downside of using this texture pack and shaders is I do not get a very stable 60 FPS. I mean, I do if I'm standing still, but if I'm loading new chunks, it definitely lags a bit. So that's why I really want to get Distant Horizons working along with this, because that will hopefully give basically identical quality, but much better performance. Yeah, offsets, it might blow up. I am using a 3090, so the 24 gigs of VRAM is very useful for all of those giant textures. I'm guessing that would probably be the limiting factor for most people, is the amount of VRAM required to load all the textures. At least in 1K. They do publish these resource packs in lower resolution, and they still look pretty great. $69, it's a very important number in the 2B2T community. So I'm guessing this is all burned down, and you can kind of tell that. So this is a lighting glitch you get sometimes with fire. Basically, the lighting level doesn't correctly reset after the fire goes away. But considering how fire spreads, somebody must have spent a lot of time lighting stuff on fire to get this much destruction here. It's another one of those things where I question the sanity of the person involved. I'm actually going to change it to night, and it'll probably look pretty cool. There we go. Yeah, I also have a mod installed that lets me change the time of day client side. It's actually very pretty. Hi, Cody Gamer. How are you? Anyway, I apologize. I really don't have much of an agenda for this stream other than just flying around and exploring. So if you have anything you want to talk about or questions, let me know. That is good to hear, Cody. Yes, Decto, definitely my computer turns into a space heater whenever I get on here like this. So if you live in a hot climate, your air conditioning bill may go up significantly, so your mileage may vary. There we go. Nice sunset. That's so beautiful. All right, what's your challenge, Cody? Yeah, again, if you want to try this out, in the description below, there's a link to a Discord that's maintained by Negative Entropy. It has instructions for setting all of this up. It is a bit involved, but the result, I think, speaks for itself. Okay, I think one of the prettiest textures has to be the waterlogged farmland. Like, look at this. It's so pretty. Those reflections are amazing. I do wish that plants, though, I'm sure they will add them at some point to this research pack, but I think that would be like next level to have very detailed plant textures. Hi, Lamp. Yeah, I didn't build that farm. It's just something I found randomly around spawn. Sure, he says. God, this is so beautiful. Hi, Yada. Actually, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Yada? Yada? You gotta tell me. And I think you're probably just gonna say meow again. That's my prediction. All right. Yata? There we go. Meow. Well, that's interesting. We'll see if this is still around. I guess not. There are a lot of signs, though, so I'm going to go check that out. Yeah, it's not really clear what this was, but most of the signs are from 2020 or later, so it's probably just a farm or something that somebody built that somebody decided to lava cast. which honestly I'm okay with. If you go to the effort of lava casting something, I think that's a relatively acceptable form of griefing. Because at least it leaves nice, pretty ruins. Negative entropy, sort of. So it does not appear to store things like tile entities, I think. It's not perfect, so I do have to do a little bit more investigation. Yes, Lamp, you're correct. And it definitely does not store entities. It might be possible to modify it to do that. I'm not sure what that would involve, though. Okay, this is pretty cool. Entropy asks if this is wind erosion. Yes, quite possibly. A big storm came through. Honestly, this looks fucking amazing. This is so cool. Yeah, this is definitely not Hard Hat's pyramid. That was out, I think that was like 1 million, something like that. That was a gigantic pyramid that was not complete like this. It was more of like a, it was basically made up of smaller pyramids stacked on top of each other. Anyway, this really makes me wonder exactly how it ended up destroyed like this. I guess it could be withers that would cause all these holes, but maybe somebody, because TNT would like destroy bigger sections. It's got to be withers. It's pretty cool though. Let's see what these say. Builded by Laughing 3R. I think the right conjugation would be built, but that's okay. Maybe English is not their first language. Originally built for jumping into the water. Okay, let's try this out. Oh, it's not very nice. All right, here we go. Oof. I guess they were right about aiming. I should probably get another totem. This is pretty nice. Evil Rain bought this base. I don't really know what that means. Yeah, it's a pretty shit tier grief, I'll be honest. Let me tell you what the lowest form of griefing is, though. It's crystal griefing. It's when you're too poor to have TNT and or you spent all of your money on PvP kits. The way you usually recognize that is like chunks of obsidian left over. It's kind of cringe, honestly. This is pretty cool. It looks like somebody repaired this a little bit. Yeah, it looks like it was rebuilt in June of 2021. That's awesome. Good afternoon, Spire. And yes, I'm using a new texture pack. It's the Vanilla XXL texture pack by Hardtop. It's basically the vanilla 16 by 16 textures, but with a bunch of PBR and details added. So it looks freaking sick, in my opinion. Like, check this out. Yeah, it is a bit gloomy. That's because it's raining server side. It's one of my few complaints with the Meteor client is that it doesn't have a good way to disable. It can disable rendering of rain, but it doesn't change the weather, basically. Or maybe if it is possible, I haven't figured out how to do that. But in a few minutes, it'll probably be sunny again. And yes, it is 1K resolution. They publish it in 2K, but that's a bit much, even for my graphics card. That's cool. You have the volumetric shadow from your player character. That's actually pretty awesome. Yeah, this is an RTX 3090. Which, to be honest, is not like the difference between that and a slightly lower model is really only the video RAM. So unless you're doing a lot of video editing, it doesn't matter, or especially like 3D modeling with lots of textures. So I do not actually recommend this card for anybody who doesn't do 3D modeling. This is pretty cool. Yeah, I wonder how long this has been around for. I'm going to see if I can find a signboard. Nice. Anyways, this is definitely a little griefed, but honestly in pretty good condition for being this close to spawn. I guess somebody decided to build a crafting table island. That's interesting. Keep Santa Mail 2019 till infinity. Okay. Don't quite understand what that's referring to, but cool story, bro. Let me check Spire. It might be 32. I don't remember. No, it's actually still 48. This shader pack, the complementary shaders, has fog, though, which is kind of a bummer because it makes the distance stuff not show up as well, but it does mean that the render distance looks a little bit more natural. That's pretty cool. One of the other really useful things in the Discord linked below is the Zero's world data has been released. So basically you can get a mini map for the entire area downloaded by the 256K project. It consumes about 20 gigs of data, so definitely better than the world download itself. But if you want this, just go to the Discord below, and I think it's listed under Minimap, that channel. It does lag a little bit. We've actually talked to the mod's author about this. They were not intending for it to be used with however like hundreds of thousands of region files that we have, so they were quite entertained when we got in contact, but hopefully at some point the loading performance will be a little better. They just didn't anticipate that it would be used in this ridiculous way. Yeah, I definitely recommend it, Spire. It's much better than Journey Map. Spire, I think basically the reason it's so slow is it is not very efficient about fetching files from disk, because they just weren't anticipating like 250,000 region files to be present. So with a little bit of optimization, it probably would be a lot faster. But it would require a code change to Zero's mod. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't write it, so I can't really comment that authoritatively on how it performs. Well, at this point, I'm kind of out of things to talk about. Like I said, hopefully at some point I can get the Distant Horizons LOD mod to work, because that'll substantially increase performance and allow for even larger render distances. So if that does work, I will definitely stream again. But thank you for tuning in, and have a great rest of your afternoon.